Hi, Danielle.
Hi, Casey. Good morning.
Good morning. 1 week away. We are 1 week away. Countdown.
Countdown
Until it's the most wonderful time of the year.
It sure is. Look, we all have no Christmas parties to go to this year, I hope. I'm missing my very favorite Casey Wilson karaoke fun that I'm used to. But what we do have this year is something I hope, which is a nice substitute, which is the Bitch Sesh Christmas, holiday, Hanukkah, whatever you want to call it, extravaganza.
Annual.
We do this every year, but now we can bring it to everybody's home. It's Thursday, the 17th, 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern.
Danielle, we have been all over this great city. We have song, we have dance, we have videos, we have 5 guests, and I do have a surprise guest I need to tell you about really quick.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh's right.
Last time it was the wonderful Bruce Tang, whose artist rendition is now on an ornament.
Yes, who did your cartoon.
Yes, and I ended up falling in love with him. He was truly a treasure, even though how I look in his eyes is like a monster. But
I'm realizing now we're not cutting Bruce in on any of those profits of your cartoon.
He doesn't deserve it.
You're right.
I suffered.
Right, for that. Exactly. So last night I received a late night phone call and I was scared because it was someone calling from the East Coast and a family member. And I'm like, when you get these phone calls, it's like, what the fuck are they doing up at midnight? And it was someone calling to beg to be a guest.
Oh,
because he said, quote, "You said I can always be a guest when the show is in town, but I realized it is in town because it's remote." And that man's name is Paul Wilson.
Okay. He's coming on
You know he won't be denied, Danielle.
He will not. Again,
he will not. And he will be coming to us in a very special character form that everyone will see soon enough. And it's not that I want to ruin the surprise, but it is funny what he said he wanted to say to everyone. It was very upsetting. So my dad likes to dress up in Santa costume, go in his convertible, pull the top down, maybe I've said, smoke a cigar, and drive through our town by himself, just yelling to everyone out the window, "Ho, ho, ho, Merry Christmas." And he loves to say to women, which is very problematic, "Have you been a good little girl?" And I'm like,
gross!
Have you been? So he was like, I'll say to all the Bitch Sesh listeners, like, "Have you been naughty, little girl?" I said, "Dad, no, I will write your copy." He goes, "Well, it's funny. Are they on the naughty list?" I'm like, it's just, my dad is so far from like that guy, but he can't help but sound like it sometimes.
Yeah, I can't. Well, he will not be stopped. So we cannot stop whatever he's going to do. I'll never forget when you had just like minutes earlier given birth to Bear.
Yeah.
Your youngest. And I was in your house and we were about to do the podcast and he was like, "I'm coming on and I'm going to say Casey gave birth and I'm going to reveal the name." And I was like, "Paul, this is not what Casey wants. She has said no." And he's like, "I don't care. I'm going to do it." And I was like, "Paul, like I could not
stop him.
Your father from my own podcast. Like I could not control this man." So,
he cannot be stopped. I'll tell one quick story of how he cannot be stopped too, Danielle, because David was in that same position as you, which is like, you think when you say to an adult, like, "Please don't do this."
Yeah, it's like your own daughter does not want this. This is not what she wants.
When David was proposing to me, I didn't know, but he'd called my dad and was flying them in so that our families could kind of like come up the driveway after he proposed and we could have a nice dinner with a couple friends. Lovely. David said he had no less than 7 conversations with my father that at points David's hands were shaking and he was sweating because he kept saying to my dad, now this was like 6-7 years ago. And my dad was single at the time. And he said, "Yeah, so you and Valter can come out." And my dad's like, "I'd like to bring someone I'm dating." That he'd been dating for like 1 month. And David's like, "Paul, I think Casey, just for like the proposal, it might feel best to just, be family. And since her mom can't be there," my dad said, "No, I will be bringing her." David's like, "Paul, please." Then he had like someone else call my dad. My dad brought her.
He cannot be stopped.
No, look, this is a wonderful woman I now love who is my stepmom. So I'll give my dad that. But I will just say that night, he didn't bring her that night. But the next morning he was like, "I want you to meet the love of my life. She's here to celebrate with us." But that night, we all going around the table. I've just been proposed to. It was like the greatest night of my life. And I said to everyone at the table, I'd love to hear everyone hear all of your stories of engagement. Like let's bring everyone in and everyone's telling beautiful stories. My dad is last. Now, of course, what I'm doing, Danielle, I don't yet know that my dad has a woman like stashed in a hotel. I and that my dad and husband have been like fighting. And I'm thinking my dad will end with the beautiful story of my mom and his.
Of course. That's a wonderful way to end this evening.
I'll never forget. June and Paul finish their story and kind of kick it on over to my dad, who says, and I quote, I think I'll be telling a different story. And proceeds to tell the story about a month prior when he met my future stepmom walking down the street in the crosswalk.
Again, another beautiful story, but not the right time or place.
1 month earlier. Everyone was stunned. I cried hysterically upstairs, and he ruined the engagement. But you know what? Paul Wilson will be joining us, and he won't be stopped. That's my point. He will not be stopped.
We cannot control him, but he will be a guest, which I'm so excited about hearing now, along with the hilarious Joel Kim Booster.
The best ever.
Jessica St. Clair, who we will force to do terrible things against her will.
She will be taste testing and trying on many Housewives products.
And then Ronna Glickman, our aunt.
Danielle and I's aunt, both of our aunt.
Who no one is funnier, has more opinions on Housewives stuff than this woman. And
she is really something. If you don't know Ronna, look her up.
One other special tiny guest who we will surprise you with.
Wonderful. Wonderful. It's truly going to be so much fun. Please bring a drink. It's the end of the year. I'm going to be drunk. I don't care because it's not filmed for the masses. This is for us.
No, this
is going to
be us.
So much fun.
This is your drunken office Christmas party with people you actually hopefully want to hang out with.
Right, with the people you really work with. We all work together. We are in a corporation called Bitch Sesh.
Rob, called Andy Cohen's Universe. Yes, we are. He's the CEO, but we're his underling.
I know. Now, Danielle, before we go to break, because we're bringing out a very quick guest who's just going to simply weigh in on a legal matter that is troubling all of us. But I know maybe you're like, oh, wow, you guys are like promoting your show, and now you're going to promote something else. But I am going to promote something because something has come out today that I've been working on for over 4 years. And I'm sorry that I'm kicking this off, but I
know I should have done it.
I'm so genuinely excited about it. I'm like, oh, I'm so proud of myself, but I do feel this has been an endeavor and something I'm just genuinely excited to get to the people, which is that I've written a book.
You sure have. The title is so good. It's called The Wreckage of My Presence. And it is nothing more profound and beautiful and hilarious. And I feel like I've walked a little of this journey with you over the last 4 years. And I feel like everyone on this podcast knows how funny and poignant and heartbreaking and bananas your life and your stories are. And so I'm excited to read it myself. I've already pre-ordered a copy, which everybody can do.
Oh, you're so nice, Danielle. I appreciate that. As my husband says, I'm a magnet for the unwell. So I have so many stories you guys haven't heard, but it's also genuinely like about grief and about female friendship. It's not just funny, although I do tell some stories that I think are hilarious. I also have a huge love letter to you all who are listening to this, which is a huge, honestly, I don't know why I'm about to cry, but it's a story about the Housewives, an essay called Send in the Clowns.
I'm going to cry.
I know. It is for you all about this journey that we've been on. And how, Danielle, how you and I started the podcast and about our listeners and just about what it's meant to me, the Housewives themselves and this whole journey. And it's one of my favorite essays in the book. And so it's for you guys. And you're even in the special thanks and the acknowledgement because everyone listening has like built this with us. And so I am so excited about it.
And I'm so proud. I am proud of you, and I don't have to be sick about that.
Thank you,
I'm
Danielle.
very proud of you.
Yes, you can pre-order it now. It's at HarperCollins, or all the info is on my Instagram. But also, I'll say next week I'm putting out. I've made a little video that if you want to give a gift to someone next week, and you're like, "Fuck, I can't mail anything. I can't get it together. I have nothing." You can buy the book next week if you do it on my Instagram, and you can download a little video that you can text immediately to your friend or whomever it is from me, wishing them happy holidays. And it feels very personalized the way I've done it, and I think a funny way. And it will express that, no, the present's not coming till May. But you know what? You know what? This is the present is this really great video, and it'll be worth the wait. And it's coming. And so if anything, it's sort of a present that keeps on giving.
I love that. They can just watch it anytime they feel the need for that present.
Exactly.
They actually get the present.
It's the worst form of cameo. But I'm just so excited about the book, The Wreckage of My Presence. Thank you for letting me chat about it, Danielle. There's stories. Oh, God, are there some June and I stories from the past that are so upsetting?
I remember you during that time. You were a tornado.
Tornado. June and I, there, I even do a much deeper dive on the time we both tried to take down Scientology for one day. There's just a lot in there, Danielle. I love you, and you're in there a ton, and I'm excited for everyone to read it.
I'm excited. I'm excited for you guys. Great holiday gift for any and all.
For any and all. Happy holidays. Shall we take a break, Danielle? And we are going to come back with a legal expert.
Yes.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Danielle, it's not every day. It's actually no day that we have done this.
Never before. Never once.
That we've had to bring in an expert. Well, we've brought in certain experts, an empath, a home designer, astrology. But now we've brought in someone kind of smart. With love to all of our healers of every stripe.
Yes.
Smart in a different way.
Different area.
Yes. And that is a lawyer. Because I'll tell you what, Danielle, and I have a bachelor's in fine art and drama, as I know you do. And
yes, BFA.
An unfinished minor in women's studies. And the law is not my strong suit. Now, I've played a lawyer. Actually, no one's ever asked me to play a lawyer. I've played really an extra sitting in the courtroom.
Yes, I don't know much about the law, even though family members of mine are in the industry, but I've never cared. We have had a lot of law questions on The Real Housewives because
specifically one case.
Yes. And that is the case of one Girardi v. Girardi, if you will.
Kramer versus Kramer.
Yes. Because there are so many unknowns in that the Girardis are now, as we have heard, getting divorced. And then, as we heard last week, there was a suit that alleged that Erica is only divorcing Mr. Girardi because they're trying to hide some funds from some misdoings. And then now, in the latest wrinkle, they're saying that Mr. Girardi will not meet Erica Girardi's request for spousal support. That's where we're at.
And
correct?
He would like his lawyer paid for.
Exactly.
So this is all so confusing. I don't even know what to make of it. And so we really did need to bring in an expert. So please welcome my sister's friend, lawyer, a very successful lawyer out of Chicago, Jenny Goodman, Esquire.
Thanks, guys, for having me.
Hello.
Hi. Like I said, thank you for giving me a reason to shower.
It's so important. Did you see on your calendar today and think, finally, I'm giving back?
Yes, finally. This is sort of a career highlight.
In the spirit of Hanukkah, too, on this first full day.
Yes. Happy Hanukkah, Danielle and Jenny and myself.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Thank you. Well, I was just going to get right to it.
Please.
Okay, please.
And as we know, I'm not an expert in this area.
Doesn't matter.
That's never stopped us before.
Definitely a welcome break from the monotony of my own practice. So, without knowing the true details.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, fine. It is hard to opine on whether this is actually a sham divorce or not. But I don't know if you guys have had a chance to read the complaint that was filed against Girardi, Keeston, and Tom Girardi and Erica. It was filed here in the Northern District of Illinois. It is so juicy.
Give us some highlights.
No, we didn't. All I read was Daily Mail, 2 lines of a headline. That's why you're here.
So this is a publicly available document. You need to Google and find it.
Okay.
It reads like a novel.
Now, what would we Google? Girardi Erica complaint?
Girardi, Northern District of Illinois. It'll probably be the first thing that pops up.
Wonderful.
So after reading those 30 plus pages, I would venture to say that, yes, this is a sham to, avoid the creditors that are after Tom.
Wow.
The most shocking allegation in the complaint is that they say that it is a Madoff-style attempt to fund his own loans. Because besides this case that was brought on behalf of the airline victims, there are several other outstanding cases that are brought by creditors, former clients. Tom is in big trouble.
Wow.
So, and one other big fact that I got from the complaint is that over the past year, Tom has, or actually his law firm, Girardi has been making loans to Erica's company, which is EJ Global.
What is it?
It's called EJ Global, LLC.
Erica Jane Global.
Yes. And so he has been making loans, tens of millions of dollars to this company. And he's actually the sole shareholder of the company. So right there, that raises a big red flag.
Danielle and I's mouths are open.
Agog and aghast.
Yes.
So okay, let me take you back, Jenny. Now, why would someone do those loans? Because this is way more money, obviously, than him being like, okay, here's a little loan for like to pay for Mikey and your glam squad and like your travel, right? I mean, this sounds like an unbelievable amount of money. And I do believe she spends an unbelievable amount of money. So what's the difference there?
Well, I think that people have used this method to, hide their assets. So the creditors can't go after Girardi or Tom personally. The money is, basically with Erica's company. And so that's basically what he is trying to do because there's so many creditors after him right now.
I'm wondering if maybe Erica would have just shown up on the show in like some jeans and the Denise Richards wear, but she's actually been going to all of these lengths to make it seem as though the tens of millions of dollars that have been loaned are being spent somewhere. Is that too dark?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Wow. But this is sort of surprising because Tom seems like a smart man. Yes.
Yeah, it feels like he's smarter than to like, because it all seems like kind of obvious in the way that like it's all out there. He's depositing money to himself in his thing. Like It seems kind of obvious. He seems like a smart man. Why would he put himself and his family in this jeopardy? I don't understand.
Yes, and I'm wondering the same thing because any judge in the divorce proceeding would sort of see this as an obvious attempt to avoid creditors. And basically, criminal charges could be brought against him for, fraudulent transfer and trying to hide those assets.
Do you think he just had no other choice? It was like, well, I guess I'll do this.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying this is his last ditch attempt, I think. I don't think he had any other choice.
And so you think their plan is like, okay, now we're going to say we're getting divorced and we're going to make it look acrimonious. But really, in the divorce, he's going to like, how would that play out if they wanted it to play out in the best possible way for them? What are they hoping?
They probably would hope that a judge in their divorce proceedings would happen to overlook the fact that he's transferred money to Erica in large sums, and I just would be shocked.
But then is that real money that he transferred, or is it like, you know what I mean? Like,
it sounds like real
money. Yeah, if he's got the money, why isn't he just, or is he stealing it from people and then needing to stash it somewhere?
Yes, no, that's why, back to the Madoff comment, basically money that it was actually the law firm who was making the loans to Erica's company. So it's their attempt. They've taken proceeds from settlements from clients, and that's the money that he's using to loan to Erica's company.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and then do you think this last thing that came out this week, which he's like, I'm not paying your bills and I'm not like, that is a made up thing to be like, Ed, we're even fighting. We're not getting along. So you can see this is real. This isn't some bullshit divorce. Like, we don't like each other. Like, is it some sort of drama that they're pretending?
Yeah, I don't even think that is valid point at all, that, they're just trying to maybe attempt to, like you said, appear that there's some contention. But I don't think that even matters.
If he goes down for this, will she be implicated?
Yes.
Or will she say, "Oh, wow, I just got these loans like for my business and and my career"?
Yes, I think though, like for example, in the lawsuit by the Air Lions victims, I mean, she's a named party.
Oh, she is named.
So, yeah.
Wow.
So I think she's also in trouble. I guess you could look at it from the other side and say, no, it's not a sham. She knew all of this was going on, and she just wanted to get the F out of the relationship before all of this really went down. Like, she probably knew about, that there was an impending suit and probably the 22 other suits that have been filed against him, in the past.
And then she knew she was getting named. Because is this the first one she's been named in?
I believe so. The others just involved Girardi case.
And do you think Tom has any money, or are we at a place like were they making a great living and then taking proceeds from these settlements, which is so awful, on top of it? Or like, is this like, fuck, we have no money, we're doing anything and everything now?
Yeah, I think that they have no money. Any money that they do have is the victims, for example, of the Lion crash, are the rightful owners. They never paid them out according to this lawsuit.
Wow, that's dark.
Whoa. And you believe Tom is not just taking this money to add to his fortune, but rather to be his fortune. He doesn't have anything.
Yeah.
It feels so desperate. Like, it feels so dark and desperate to me that I feel like, and again, maybe I'm giving them more credit than they deserve, but it's so dark and so desperate that it does feel like we need to keep up this pretense. We're going to do this terrible thing. We're not just adding to our fortune. We need to do this to maintain, like, we have to step into the darkness.
Danielle, hearing you say that, I can't help but want to channel Erica, because I'm feeling rise up. It's almost like I am channeling her, what she would say, which is like, don't talk about my son. Like, she's going to be like, if you think I had anything to do with that, you're wrong. But
I mean, the money that we used to always be like, the money that is spent on her lifestyle day to day must cost a fortune.
Do you think they took some of this money? This is dark. I'm just curious. Mm-hmm. She's been on the show now how long, Danielle? 5 years, maybe?
Yeah,
I don't know.
6, maybe.
Do you think some of the need for this outrageous scam and these horrible doings had to do in some part with her wanting to keep up the facade of his money and her appearance? Like, is the housewives to blame?
I mean,
the complaint actually references that and says that that's a part of all of this, that instead of paying out the settlements that are owed to clients, they've been keeping it to maintain this lifestyle of, $40,000 a month to keep up Erica's look. So
$40,000 to keep up that look.
I'm spending 40. Wow, Jennifer Goodman.
Thank you
for
your
Jennifer
expertise.
Goodman, Esquire.
Jennifer
maybe
Goodman,
we'll
Esquire.
send you to the trial to be out
yes,
front.
Again, maybe you're our court reporter.
Yes, you can quit your
and
job,
thank
leave
you.
your kids, and just
And
follow
again,
this.
we know that this field of law is not your expertise. Though you are a lawyer, you still have more insight and knowledge than us, and we appreciate it.
We really appreciate
Thank you.
it. And we may call on you for other matters. Again, not in your area.
Yes, we probably will never call on you for something in your area, but that's kind of the point.
Yeah. But look, nothing's Danielle and I's area.
Oh, I have no expertise.
We
Again,
have no area.
Bachelor of Fine Arts, that means nothing.
Oh.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Jennifer Goodman.
Thank you
so much for being here. And this was important and nice to talk to an intellectual.
Yeah, a judge such as yourself. Again,
easy.
A Supreme Court judge. Wonderful.
We're back. Thank that legal expert, Jenny.
Thank you, Jenny.
Wow.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Jenny.
Okay, Danielle. We have, Okay, Atlanta premiered this week.
Plus
the Potomac finale.
Oh, God, it was perfect.
Plus Salt Lake City. Should we start with Potomac? It's the finale.
Yeah, let's start with Potomac because it was the finale. And I have to say, I've never wanted something to end less.
Yeah.
Like, the women of Potomac have truly been keeping my spirits alive during the pandemic.
Aloft, afloat, yes.
Yes, I'm grateful to all of them. And what I have learned about Potomac, or about people, really, through the women of Potomac, through the lens of the women of Potomac, is no one is all good and no one is all bad. And
Danielle,
you know what I mean? Like, because every single one of them is so perfectly imperfect, like all of us. And so we, and I think a real testament to that is, God, all of them, Karen, Monique, Candace.
You're right. I don't hate any of them the way some housewives I fucking hate. Like, I'm on the edge with Candace for sure. And obviously we'll discuss Michael Rudolph Red-Nosed Reindeer Darby.
I hate.
Had a very shiny nose.
Oh, had a very shiny face. I hate, but he's not a housewife.
Yes, but the women, you're right, Danielle.
And I do feel like that is a lesson that is taught to me this season, because they are all so complex. And I love that. And that's, I think, why we watch these shows, also to have a laugh, but because the complexity of these women reminds us that, like, nothing is all good. Nothing is all bad. It's just, it's hard.
I totally agree with you, Danielle. And this episode, in terms of finales, had everything you could ever, ever, ever want. Spoiler alert, please fast forward. Honestly, do yourself a favor and fast forward this, because there's emotion that you will get out of this episode that you're not expecting. And I do mean tears. I was crying 3/4 of the episode, for real. Tears streaming down my faces. This actually, Danielle, I want to say, I wrote it down in huge caps. This was a first for me this week. I cried tears in all 3 episodes this week. Atlanta, Salt Lake, and Potomac.
You know what?
Yeah.
Don't know if I cried in Salt Lake, but I definitely cried here, and I definitely cried in Atlanta.
I cried over Mary Cosby. She's a victim. Go on.
Oh, she is.
I think of possibly sexual trafficking. What happens? Okay, so now if you fast forwarded or you've stopped, whatever. Okay, but Robyn and Juan's love story comes to a denouement. What would you say? A beautiful, It's not an end. It's a beginning.
No, it's a beginning. It's a new beginning, because what we have found, what we have learned through Robyn and Juan is that I used to always say people don't change. People do not change. They are who they are. But what we have seen with Robyn and with Juan is that if you work at it, if you have self-examination, if you see the powers of your behavior and the wrongs of the past and you work to correct, you can change and succeed. And that has never been shown in all of the Real Housewives, ever.
I think what we learned in Robyn and Juan's therapy, at least what I learned, is that, I mean, I knew they were so young when they met. They were so fucking young. And most people, it just doesn't work. Like, you grow apart. You can't help. And I have such admiration for people who stay together. Like, my parents-in-law met at that age. God bless. But then to know that both Juan's parents had passed, I was putting together so much more than he's on the road. Robyn's doing everything with the kids. Like, I just got it all. And so then to see them have that therapy session where they're both like saying how proud they are of the other one, and then to see him propose in such a beautiful way. Robyn looked so beautiful. His words were so beautiful. I was hysterically crying.
Me too, because I really felt that this love was true. It was worked at. It was because the love was still there. Even when they got divorced, they still loved each other. Yes. There was so much going on. And then they learned to work through it.
And talk about highs and lows. Like, they've had fucking lows. That is a relationship. That's not like when you're, I know, it's not when you're 24 and you're like, well, I'm not going to have those problems.
No, it was just.
That's not that idea of love. Are you crying, Danielle?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it is, marriage is work, and relationships are work. And they worked on themselves and they worked on the relationship. And I'm just.
Everything okay, buddy?
No, it's not.
Sorry to laugh. Danielle's hysterically crying. Made me laugh when you said marriage is our work. And then I'm right there with you, Danielle.
But
the hardest work.
The hardest work, like you. But I'm proud of them. I really am, and I feel like they're my family. And I'm truly proud of people that just took it on themselves and looked at themselves in the mirror and wanted to fix something. Yes. I'm just so impressed. And then on the other end, you have someone like Micheal.
Micheal fucking Darby, who managed. Okay, when I tell you, I was so fucking angry after all Robyn and Juan have been through that this motherfucking Corona drinking alcoholic was going to ruin their engagement and their beautiful moment. I was so happy that when we cut back and we saw Robyn dancing, who's a very good dancer, by the way.
Great.
And I thought Giselle was too. Am I wrong? Okay, you thought less so. Maybe I was just like happy to see
I think you were caught up in the moment. I was
caught up because her outfit was so upsetting that maybe I was just like looking for strengths in other
distracted
areas.
though. The dancing, that's not.
But
her
I was
area of
really happy that
expertise.
Robyn was just like, fuck this guy. Like, we're still enjoying our beautiful night, because that was what also compounded the Micheal insanity. It's like, do you know how long these people have waited for this night, you motherfucker?
But I knew they're bigger than Micheal. And Micheal is trying to take them down because he wants the heat off of him. Plus, I do believe he has a crush. Yes. He's in love with Juan as well. I believe that there are strong feelings there. And
when he said, let's go to the bachelor party, we won't bring any of the women, I'm like, he's in love with Juan. And look, I get it. I am too.
We all are.
But it's fucking weird, man. And like at every party, again, like if you're a gay man or if you're bisexual or whatever the hell you are, and not that a straight man can't also tell another man that he's good looking. But the way he kept doing it, that guy that he was talking to really made me laugh when he was like, hey, brother. He's like, you really look nice. I can't do Australian, right? Isn't he Australian?
It's like, you really look nice.
In that suit. And the guy goes, thank you. And he's like, I'm not. He was basically like, I'm not gay.
No,
the guy's like, I didn't think you were.
Nobody did, but you're being real weird. And so you're freaking everybody out because you're being weird, not, however you want to say it. You're just being a creep.
Watching him creep up to that bar like a little leprechaun. He the way he would like creep up, kind of like the Grinch, when the Grinch, like when Jim Carrey was the Grinch and he'd have his hands all weird and tiptoe up to the bar.
Yes.
It was so disgusting.
He's the worst person. He's the worst person on Housewives history. When he was like, I'm going to sue you, man.
You touch me. I'm
going to sue you. I was like, you get out of my
Chris
fucking
lay
face.
hands, I guess.
He just pushed him back.
Yeah, like enough.
But not in any way that's worth like it was like, and we all saw it. We all have the footage. I will be a witness in that lawsuit for Chris and be like, no one did anything. You're the fucking worst.
Although it did make me laugh when Ashley was right there on the jump being like, so you are suing someone for laying hands and you just did it. And then Ashley saw with the way he was acting with the producers. I was like, I feel fearful for them. I had sick feeling the whole time I was watching this. I felt scared.
Ashley, get out of that fucking marriage. I know you have another one on the way, but it's never going to change. He is a man that will never change. He's a bad man. He will treat you poorly. Get out. Get out of that marriage. Just get out. There's just do what's best for you and your now, I guess, 2 sons. I think they're having a second. Get out. He will never change. He will never be good. He will always be your kid's father, but he does not have to be your husband.
Now,
get the fuck out.
God, I see such a parallel between Kenya Moore and Ashley Darby.
Oh.
These are women who had very difficult to none to very tough relationships with their fathers. And I sought counsel on Ashley last night. I called a friend who I know understands Potomac and has such wisdom on subjects like this. And I said, what's going on with Ashley? I need to know what's happening. Like, why is she in this? Is it money? And she said, it's not money at all. It's nothing. She's married her father in hopes of, changing and healing that past trauma. That's what we're witnessing. That is why she's not leaving, because her soul's purpose in life, she can't move on. She cannot accept that there was the trauma of the childhood has now replayed out as the trauma of the adulthood. Like, the trauma is so strong and she's trying to rechange the neural pathways. Like, it's so Herculean. It's so outsized. It's not in reality whatsoever, of course. So we can yell and bitch as much as we want, but that's what's going on. And it made me feel really sad.
But I want more for her and I want more for Kenya. And I did feel that in the Kenya thing, and we will talk about that. But
because I'm scared of both of these guys. I'm scared of both of them could do something really bad. I really do want to say that out loud, because they're such narcissistic guys who are vindictive, and they're both going to try to take their kids. And I think that's also especially why Kenya is not wanting to rock the boat.
It's just so
dark. And I got to say, Micheal fucking creeped me out when he was with his baby. And I love that all the housewives are like, he's a hands-on dad. And the guy's just doing a football hold with the baby for 1 second. And now she's Micheal stepped up. All Micheal did that I saw was say his son had a big dick, his 4-month-old, and then said, he's like, you and me could be a good crew running around catting about. I'm like, so you want to go fuck women with your 4-month-old?
I bet he's the worst.
But he does want that. Danielle, he's like, oh, he's my wingman.
Gross. Now, another tough moment. And do you think and this is a weird transition, but do you think that Robyn actually wanted Candace to sing at her party, or it was forced upon her by the producers?
I think she did.
Really?
Yeah. She was bopping and grooving and jamming. And you know Robyn's not going to pay to have another act come in. She's like, let's look around and use the parts we got.
Yeah, I get that. Let's use all the parts of the buffalo as your husband, David, casts.
Yeah, every part of the buffalo. Like, every thing, you're going to do that, you're going to do that. Like, I felt Robyn was genuinely into it.
That was kind of her because everyone was shocked. But she did get the song a bopping. You know, at first it was tough. We couldn't hear the song. But then once it got playing, everything kicked
somewhere. Yes. But I want to say, write another song.
Write another song. I don't know that she can, you know, like she's not a songwriter.
Right, of course she can. You're right.
But she sounded good once it got going.
She did. I thought it was so funny when Robyn really had a great episode last night. I mean, this was Robyn's episode, and it was so deserved. Yes. And I love when Robyn said to Wendy, "You look like a Chicago pimp, and can I be your hoe?" Now, speaking of Robyn's episode, when Karen said in her testimonial, I mean, it was like truly the rudest thing I've ever heard anyone say. She said, let's give Robyn that moment. She doesn't get a lot of moments.
Yes.
I'll give her that one. Like, she doesn't get a lot of moments. Karen is such a bitch.
I love her. I love her. She might be GOAT.
I know. And when Karen went to HSN, my spirit soared that, like, because we've seen all these tropes, you know, when I'm seeing Lisa Rinna packing up her stuff and fucking doing those wipes on the phone in the hotel room, which is prescient, seems. But to see Karen getting to go to HSN, and then she was such a fucking pro. It's like they didn't even need to show the clip because they didn't have anything foolish to show. It wasn't like when Shannon went on and, oh, God.
Yeah,
it's not even
her trying to cook.
So upsetting what she wore, all of it. But she's a star.
She's a star. A star.
To sell a perfume that no one can fucking sell, no one can smell through the television screen, you're a pro.
Totally. Also, can we talk about Monique? Because these reunions are going to be tough for Monique because it's been really hard to be on her side. Again, like we were on her side, even though she fought like another woman, like we were still on her side. But her lack of remorse, even when she starts to get there.
All right, but let me just jump in quickly, Danielle, and say that the courts were also on her side. Okay. After the footage was revealed, everyone saw that Candace was baiting and this was not something that needed to be pursued further.
Yes.
And Candace tried to act like it was because of the housewives that they didn't get it. I'm like, since when does a court of law give a fuck about like what's on reality or what's not? It's like, did you break the law? Did you not? Like, Candace looked very foolish in the end, trying to be like, it's because of Monique's crazy lawyer. It's like, no, Monique won. That's what happened there. But go on. But I'll agree. Her attitude was not perfect.
No, it's not even not perfect. Like, I do think like her just, I think the people need a little more remorse from her. If she could just show that, it would go a long way.
She was like, woo! Woo!
Yes, like, and just the tweets and stuff. And again, Candace has been terrible, and Candace did ask for it on so many levels. But I do think, you know, when you put hands upon another person, you need to show contrition, or people are gonna,
or not just like elation and like pride.
Yeah, again. But I do have empathy for Monique because I do feel like it's not about Candace on so many levels. Like she is struggling in other ways, and so I have that empathy for her. But I would love her to not be like, yeah, like she deserved what she got. Like it's just a tough.
And I'm so excited for the fucking reunion where she brings out, I believe it's not only the most amount of receipts, it's the most organized amount. It's a binder that I saw tabs.
Not for lazy moms. She is not a lazy mom.
Exactly. She's not going to be lazy coming up with her receipts. She's going to go after Giselle and Jamal so much, who apparently, as they said, is still living in the phone. I felt bad for Giselle Darby. Like, there's only so many times you can make excuses for a husband or your boyfriend. And it's just like, oh, everybody knows he doesn't show up to anything. Everybody knows it's not right. And she just has to be like, yeah, he'll be at the next one. And it's like, he won't be at the next one.
No, he's never going to be there. He is going to live in your phone. But you have to accept that too, Giselle. He's not going to grow. He's not going to change. We know that about him.
But she's going to hear about it. And Karen talking about her fashion at the next reunion. I can't. Karen said she said, thank you for your fashion, Giselle. She said, your taste sucks, but it's been very entertaining during quarantine.
Now, we also found out that Monique wrote a song called Drag Queens. Did you hear that? Did you see that part?
I did.
I would love to hear that. Love to get ears on that.
You're right, Danielle. It's like, and I've been full team Monique since like moment one of all this. Mm-hmm. But, when she did the song, it kind of felt a little hard to defend.
That's what I'm saying. Like
my little princess.
We were all there for you. But once you write the song called Drag Queen,
it's
celebration
hard.
of it. It's just harder to get behind. I'm not
now,
saying
here's
I'm not
where
behind.
I could predict them going. Hear me out. In 3 years, collaborating on that song.
Kind of like Kim and Nene,
and also like Luann and Sonia, like back shimmying down a runway, and everyone's like, oh, they got past it, and here they are, haha, in their Santa suits or whatever the hell.
I'd love to see it.
Me too. Should we take a break and move on to Salt Lake?
Please.
Episode 5.
Salt Lake City, guys.
Woo!
Valter. Valter. Now, he's silent, but a huge member of the cast. He doesn't say anything, but still
he's
a member.
He's taken more of a spot than Brooks, Meredith's son.
Yeah, truly. He's
more than Whitney's father. He is with us now.
Valter is with us.
I did a little digging on him, and he's a fixture there. Valter is a very lauded and like very famous figure in Salt Lake. I'm realizing the restaurant's supposed to be amazing, and after this quarantine, it might be my first stop.
I would love to see Valter's place, and I'm sorry that the ladies, didn't behave at this church-like place.
No, they didn't. What did you think, Danielle? I want your opinion on, as it went on, I just like Mary. I feel Mary as a victim. I don't like to see Mary ganged up against. I don't know why. I know she's, again, like, got very dark, very bad parts of herself. I don't know what went on with the church and I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about what we're seeing. Seeing a woman who is broken, who was forced into a relationship with her grandfather, who's embarrassed about it, who knows how weird it is, who has trauma from it. And I feel for her. I know she's not all there. I know all of this, okay? But I also finally sort of saw what Jen was saying, which is like, you did ask us to open up, but at the same time, Jen gave a huge apology to Meredith and gave nothing to the hostess of this gorgeous Met-Ball luncheon, Beta Fish, Louis Vuitton earpod lunch.
Everything you're saying is true.
Yeah, thank you.
Which is that there is so much trauma there, and she hasn't come to terms with it. Who could? And I do agree that all she wanted was an apology. And when she did not get it, which she thought and hoped to get, because she needs that. She needs someone to say, like, you didn't just fuck your grandfather. Like that, because
what a tough sentence to say to someone.
Again, she needed that.
As you said it, I hear it's hard to say.
Yeah, it's hard to say. She needed that, and she didn't get that. And so then she was like, fuck off. Now, what I respect about Mary, too, is that she seems the only one willing to tell Jen off. Because all the other women are terrified of Jen. And Mary is the only one who is not, which you need someone
I think
like
Meredith is not scared of Jen, but she's so like, a quieter person. Like she's going to internalize everything. And like, even with her husband, she's like very muted and kind of like holding everything in. But you're right. Mary has no problem coming against Jen. Now, I'll tell you who I love in Jen's orbit is Sharif and his pep talks.
Yes. I would like a Sharif pep talk.
Yes, honestly, the fact that this man is putting up with this woman is so shocking. But I think it must be that he's getting her in such small doses.
Anyone can be taken in small doses.
Now, a fan wrote in, Danielle, with some information about Sharif that was hard.
Okay.
It was hard to hear. Well, he's gone all the time.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we're not getting one
We only see, like Giselle's husband, he lives in her phone.
Exactly. We're not getting a lot from him. And she just, I had asked, I said, how gone? Where is he? Like, what is this job? He's the head of this humongous, like, I'm picturing NBA basketball team.
Mm-hmm.
And someone sent me, it's so bad, a post that they have highlighted with just a red square, and it says, Sharif Shah, cornerback / special teams coordinator.
Oh, he's not the coach?
No, nor is he the assistant coach. He's a coordinator, which I'm a coordinator. It's not bad.
I don't know. Is that a big position? I'm sure, but I just felt he had more responsibility the way.
I felt he owned the franchise. He was darting in and out, and God bless again. That's wonderful. And he's an incredible man. It just feels like, why is he never home? To me, that points to Jen. This is not me trying to put down his job as coordinator. I don't know these sports. I don't know what cornerback special team coordinator is.
I have not an idea.
Not an idea
in my head.
And I'm sure it's great. But it just feels like he doesn't want to be with her, but he will offer her quick pep talks. But I think he also loves her.
Yeah, I think that's what their marriage is. But just he seems to be hanging out a lot at the office.
Yes, like when I call my husband, I can't even tell you how little the pep talks are. It's like, what did you do? That's what he says to me. And then he's like, you got to apologize. Life is too short, Casey. Come on. That's my pep talk.
I like that. He's just telling you to apologize.
Immediately, he's like, what did you say? Oh, God, what did you do? I'm like, I didn't do anything. Can you please be on my side for once? And he's just not that person. He's like, I'll be on basically whoever's side. There's those husbands, if you tell... I've got friends, they tell their husband one thing happened to them and the husband's like, I'll kill him. My husband's
that's my husband. My husband's like, we got him. Let's take him down together.
See, that's very nice and comforting. David's like, I know you did something to provoke.
No, my husband is literally like, what do we got to do?
Yeah, he sees me as Candace. He's like, right, but something precipitated this. And it was you, no doubt.
Heather.
I want to say she has a really sweet relationship with her girls. I love it all. My mom used to kind of be like that, which was like, listen, I'm going to sleep in tomorrow. Are we going to church or not? I really like her, putting the bacon out on that. I really think she's got a sweet relationship. I will say now, when the daughter's boyfriend came over and they hugged, I saw my life flash before my eyes. I was like, that's a love that, again, I love my husband, who I just didn't speak that kindly about. Mm-hmm. But I had a love at that age, 16, that, I still haven't gotten over him.
Really?
Oh, Danielle, no. No. I saw it and I'm like, wow, that's you said, Danielle and I hate to bring it up, but 20 minutes ago, you were hysterically crying marriages work. And so it's to see them embracing the way she jumped at him, I'm like, that's young love. Mm-hmm. I'm married to the love of my life, but that's young
it's
love.
It's a different.
Yes.
It's just passion.
It's energy. It's
and new and exciting.
It's you haven't yet married your grandpa and everything's looking great,
Yeah, you haven't been through it with that person. It's fresh. It's young.
I do wonder if Heather's too much of a permissive mom. She's always like, yeah, I dropped her off to make out. I don't know. I think there's something in Heather that's I'm out of the Mormon church and I'm going to be bad.
Yeah, I get that feeling too.
But I love her. I love her.
I want to talk about Brooks for a second because he is the perfect house husband. And I know that he's not her husband and that is Seth, but he plays the part to Meredith where he's like, how is the brunch? You know what I mean? He's giving us the sort of the straight man, meaning the sort of
somewhat straight man. Yeah.
Yes. But you know what I'm saying? The guy who's just there to sort of facilitate her
I love him.
Story. So I appreciated that. But the demise of Seth and Meredith, that's a sad.
It also had me tearing up.
Me too, because I was like, here's two people that I do believe love each other, but I also think that she has moved around enough and she is ready for her own life. And he still wants her to be that person that she was 15 years ago when they were raising their kids, which is I will move anywhere for you. We are the family. And she's like, fuck you. I finally have a life here.
This is my headquarters. She said it very well.
Yeah. And I was proud
saying
of her.
I'd move anywhere for you, but I'm like, except I guess the place she wants to be, which is here.
Yeah, it's no, actually, you've not proved that at all. She's moved for you. And now she's saying it's my time. And if you want to leave, leave, but I'm not leaving. And I
do have a little soft spot for Seth. And I will share a boot on the ground about Seth that came from our last guest, Jennifer Goodman, Esquire. And that her husband went to camp with Seth and went to high school with him and I said, well, you got anything for us? What do you got? And she said, all I got is that he's a stand-up, wonderful guy.
And I believe that. I believe that. I think he's a good guy. I just think that he wants their life to revolve around what he's doing. And
but I also think like he landed Meredith, who is this gorgeous woman who I think is like
gorgeous.
Perhaps a bit out of his league. Mm-hmm. And now to me, he's like crushed that she doesn't want to come and live in Canton, Ohio with him.
But it's like she's moved. She said, I've moved and moved and moved and moved. And finally, she got her life and she got her friends and she doesn't want to pick up again and move to fucking Ohio. And I get it.
Yeah, I do too. It sort of made me laugh when she said, it sounded like she was going to say something else when he was like, well, I don't know if like this marriage is going to work. And she was like, I do not disagree.
Yes.
I was like, I can't follow this. Oh, it's double negative.
I know. I do not.
Now, this was a tough statement from Lisa, and I will not knock her mothering because it seems she loves her kids love her. The way everyone's doing it, I do believe is great. It was just an interesting statement when she said, I go all out for birthdays. Birthdays are the one time I can give my kids 100% of me.
I was like, what?
But you know what? I thought about it, and I'm like, I feel like I'm giving like 20% every day.
Oh, birthdays is when I give my least.
Right. Okay. So actually, she's a hero, huh?
Yeah. Like I was
to even give 100.
Birthdays, I'm just like, oh God, I don't fucking know. Not right. Too much.
I read that wrong. Now, Whitney had a look in a testimonial. There was one shoulder on, one shoulder off, and that strap was hanging on for dear life. Those titties.
Ooh,
I know I keep bringing it up, and I don't know what I want back from it, but like, wow. And the ladies of Atlanta had their titties out as well.
The ladies of Atlanta, the globes were, I was...
titi.
Wow, I mean, just all over the place in Atlanta. Just titties for days.
Yeah, and Whitney's bringing us that same thing.
Whitney's testimonial looks are wild, though. Like, no one's helping her, or the wrong person is helping her. Because we've got a lot, like, just extreme... Like, and they're all sort of like... They almost feel like 1980s, where she was not even alive in. But they're just like out there, and
they're all wrong.
And a tough.
You know, and then of course we do need to address briefly Mary's statements to Jen. Now, I want to say, when Jen just erratically brought up the convenience store comment, which is obviously terrible, you know, she claims that Mary said to her a while back in their friendship, like, if I pull up to a 7-Eleven and I see Black people out front, I go to a different 7-Eleven. Obviously terrible. I will say, however, she was like, yeah, she said that. And it's like, but I think you're bringing that up now because you're starting to realize that people are siding a bit with Mary. Yeah. I'm not saying it's not terrible. I'm simply saying Jen started to fold that in as though that happened at the lunch.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a bit like disingenuous.
There was so much ugliness in both of those things, those comments, both Mary's and Jen's. Both of them came from ugly, ugly places.
And I think Sharif is right. Like it does seem to be like some inner racism going on with Mary. But again, Mary is she's a messed up person. I'm not defending her on any of those statements. It's just, I don't know why. I have a soft spot for her because she seems so broken, but also very strong. Like she's also helping people on one side, perhaps, although I'm sure she's stealing everyone's money. I don't know. Am I wrong to have such a soft spot for
No,
Mary
I think
Cosby?
Because you see her trauma. And again, it seems like she was forced into a fucking marriage with her grandfather. That's really upsetting. And I think there's a vulnerability in her that we are seeing that we are not seeing in Jen. So I think, or in so many of these women so I think we see her vulnerability, which is where our soft spot is. And we want her to succeed, and we want her to be a good person or a better person than maybe she is. I mean, time will tell. We don't know.
I'm sure she's terrible, Danielle, but so many of the housewives, what we've seen of them is like with your Luann's, and it's like Keeping Up with the Jones, like these women that are putting on these airs that's like impenetrable. Like, I've got everything together and you put my bags in the car and like all of this nonsense. And I feel like Mary is much more vulnerably like trying to be something that she really wants to be.
Yes.
In a much more kind of genuine, sad way to me. I don't know. It just feels more sad.
Because of that, I do think her doing that, it is like that she does have some, as they were saying, some inner racism, which is ugly and gross and not helpful. And I hope she looks at. I wonder if, but I also think that Jen bringing that up was out of spite.
And I see how Jen was very hurt when she said, like, we're both women of color. Here we are living in Salt Lake City. And she thought they were going to have a bond. And I totally understood why she was saying, like, it's more heartbreaking for me that we've had a falling out. Mm-hmm. And I think Jen is an incredibly lonely person.
Yeah.
So for her to lose one friend, it's like she's losing all of it. Like she might have 2 or 3 and that's it.
I would like to see that friendship come together because I do think that there's just so much hurt there. And it's...
I know, and I feel like we could have had a frickin' frack on our hands.
We could have.
And I don't know that we're there right now based on the tweets.
Meredith and Mary being frickin' frack. I don't think Meredith is going to be frickin' frack with anybody, but I think we could have had some fun times and hopefully still will with Jen and Mary. So I hope that friendship, I hope that we heal the wounds.
Yeah, and I thought Heather got to the bottom of it nicely when she went and had that drink with Mary, just like listening. And I know Heather was like all of us, like, I don't understand what she's saying. It's making no sense. But I do appreciate that everyone's not also ganging up on Mary. Like, I do appreciate Lisa's defense of her and like what happened with her marriage. Okay, I'm sure I've said enough. I'm going to hear about it from everyone. I don't know. I just think she's had a hard life. I'm going to leave it there.
Yes.
Okay.
Should we move on to Atlanta?
Absolutely.
Atlanta.
You know, we're starting the episode. Atlanta's the first series that's come out like right off the bat. We're in the quarantine. And
also just sort of like in the middle of these terrible murders of Black men and women, and which they can really speak to, and which Portia dives into just as an advocate and an activist. And we're just in it. And I was happy to be there with them because it felt like, oh yes, this is, we're acknowledging it. We're not pretending that everything is fine.
Yeah, and in some ways, like, I hope we see some of this on the other franchises. Like, it's not just to fall on Atlanta women to tell this story, but I will say, well, you know, on some shows like reality, they'll try to do like an issue show, and you're kind of like, it feels a little clunky. I thought this felt so incredible to kind of see these women in this different light, and especially Portia jumping into this role that her grandfather, you know, this incredible civil rights leader had paved the way for. And of course, you know, look, they did flash back to a tough comment that we all know that was heard around the world that our beloved Portia said about the Underground Railroad, which I won't even go back to because she is not that person anymore.
She's not that person anymore.
To see her fucking fly to Kentucky in the midst of a pandemic, be arrested for what's right for Breonna Taylor, which, again, as you all know, you know, this whole audience has given of themselves to try to, you know, make some shred right in that situation. And it was so beautiful to me to see Portia stepping into this power. I was so fucking just happy and impressed, and it was emotional.
And I cried my fucking eyes
Me
out.
too. And then when like the police were like tear gassing them, it was... We haven't gone there with a Housewives episode, and to see the footage of her grandfather.
And just seeing her on those crowds leading people, you know, leading a chants and leading the marches. And I was so just touched and proud and inspired.
And it was a great episode. And even to show the footage of George Floyd, I thought, wow, Bravo has like crossed into a territory in a great way that's like, it's unacceptable not to during the time in which they were filming. And it's the same way people said about us, like, oh, your podcast is becoming, it's like, that's where we're at right now. And that's what we're watching. But what I will say is that we had that beautiful element. And then, of course, we still moved our way right on over to Lake Bailey, where Micheal and Cynthia are playing house, and Chandler, Cynthia's new assistant, is there, and Cynthia's got her TTs out, and
it was a transition I wasn't expecting.
It
did work in the moment. I was like, how are we gonna have just a fun episode of Atlanta?
Well, we did when Marlo showed up and took everyone's temperature.
Oh, Marlo, that is how you enter a season. That is how you do it, ladies and gentlemen. Marlo. God, I love
Marlo. Knows what we need of her. And as Cynthia, I think, said it, she's like, Marlo is Marlo. Like, Marlo is going to be extra about the pandemic. Like, she's just going to be. Now, Mike has really settled in, I felt, when he was acting out Cynthia's quarantine sex sounds because the kids are in the house and she has to have her head under the pillow. That felt like, Mike, I know you're here now this day. Like, it's like when a stepdad reveals too much. It's like, okay, Mike, I don't need that.
We're not ready for this yet, Mike.
No, we're not ready for that. But it's cute. They're in love, and
they are. Oh, I was going to say, what do you think about Cynthia's? Well, not her breasts are amazing. Like when those titties were out, I was there for it.
Yeah.
But her wanting to carry on with this big wedding in the middle of a pandemic. And her sort of, I was a little disappointed because, again, I believe is this her second or third wedding? Third. Like, it's time. Not that we look to housewives, but I think we do. We respect Cynthia, and I want her to be more responsible during this time and realize, like, this is your third wedding. So either wait to have the wedding of your dreams or just do something small with you and Mike. That's what it's about anyway. And then have the party later. Just felt to me, it's like, Cynthia, I don't love this look on you.
I related to it deeply.
Did you?
I did. Because when they flashed back and showed what fucking shitty last marriage she was in, and then her first one not working, it's like, this is her prince. This is her knight in shining armor. She wants the big thing. And I think she's in denial. And the same way the pandemic has for all of us, it's like there's certain things you're like, well, at least I'll have that keep getting chiseled and stripped away. And for Cynthia, she does want to celebrate with everyone and have this big thing, and it keeps getting downgraded. And I think like what she's probably realized already is it's like, oh, even 50 people is a fucking stretch, despite the fact that some of my relatives flew to Texas for a wedding that I'm not speaking to. But it's like, I just get the emotions behind it. I'm not saying it's right. Like on a small scale this whole year, I was like, but what I will do, I don't care anymore, is I'm going to fly to see my dad for Christmas and he's going to see his grandkids and we're going to quarantine. And it's like, well, you know what? None of that's happening. And and that's not my wedding. That's just the emotions I'm having of like, what if my dad dies? Like, you know, I'm just saying I get that she so wanted this because this does mean so much. And it's, I guess, last thing, sorry, Danielle, I'm talking so much, but we've seen housewives want to have these huge weddings and the love not be there. And that to me is very gross. But this is like, oh, this is my happily ever after, you know? I don't know.
No, and I get the feeling that's there. It's not that I don't understand the want and the need, but
I find it disgusting during a pandemic. And I get that too. I
just felt like
we're all taking our knocks.
You're 50 now. And and you met the love of your life, and that's enough. We're alive. Why is it enough?
Why can't she still celebrate at that age?
She can after the pandemic is over. Right. But this is not the time or the place. You have to act for others to see, especially because you are on TV.
Right,
and
but I don't like his tactic. It's like, yeah, then let's just get married, you and me, and whatever. It's like, I wish he had just said, we are going to have the wedding of our dreams. 250 people plus post-vaccine. You know, like you're saying, like, the energy just feels like she's frustrated too because he's kind of like, yeah, let's just like do it on the day and then we'll do a party. It's like, wah, wah.
Well,
that's like when people don't take the honeymoon right after. They're like, we're going to do it a year later. And it's like, no, that's sad.
Okay, we did our honeymoon a year later.
I know. I didn't know, but I could have guessed.
Well, because
it's always a because. It's always a because, but it's like, take your moment. Like, this is the time you get to do you.
I'm actually glad we waited, and I'll have you know. And we had it because our friends were giving us as a gift their condo in Hawaii, but it wasn't ready. So that
makes me feel very sad.
But I will say we did go to Santa Barbara for a few days.
Okay, so you did something.
So we did something, but I was exhausted after my wedding. I slept for 3 days in Santa Barbara, basically.
Right, I slept on my honeymoon. But you know me, I got right on the plane the next morning.
I know, but I will say a year later on our honeymoon in Hawaii, I had to write Beverly Hills Chihuahua too.
I know you did. That's the thing. This is why I'm saying this, Danielle, because you're not allowed. Society doesn't allow us to like take a vacation and not work. So what you went on is a vacation. You just went on a normal vacation.
I went on a vacation
and you still had to work. People
understand.
There's only literally like for me and my work, there's like 2 weeks. My honeymoon was like the only time I could tell people like don't bother me, and they didn't. And then like the week between like Christmas and New Year's, you get that pause. And I think this is why some of us in the quarantine felt some relief of like having to show up every second.
Yes.
And I don't know why I'm shaming you for something that you can't change. And it sounds like you had a great time. And I'm sorry.
I didn't. I had to write fucking Beverly Hills Chihuahua every morning.
It was a great movie.
4:30 a.m. till noon. And then we would do honeymoon stuff. But I would wake up every morning and write Talking Dogs.
You're a fucking hustler, Danielle. I respect the hell out of it.
You do what you do to make the ends meet, my friends. Back to the ladies of Atlanta.
Kenya. I cannot talk about it too much because it really made me sad.
Kenya.
And I thought Kenya looked beautiful. Like I know she was really self-conscious about her weight. I thought she looked beautiful. And I thought it was like, oh, she's struggling. Not because of even looking at her weight or anything. It was just like, she is struggling.
She's struggling.
And I think she's with a man, like I said before, who will try to be vindictive. He doesn't give a fuck about being with Brooklyn, but he will do it just to take Kenya's true love out of her life. She married a dangerous man.
Yeah. I don't like him.
I did like the lawyer, though, that was like, don't be so hard on yourself. I love him.
And the one he was like, afterwards, when the cameras, like, they didn't think the cameras were on and he was having like a serious talk with her.
He said, I loved him. This is not your failure. This is his failure.
Yes. Bless that man. Bless that man.
True.
She
like,
needed that. I needed
work
that.
on this marriage.
Yeah. She did everything to make it work. It was, she couldn't make him work.
No, he's not workable. It's not tenable. Those two.
Poor Kenya.
Last thing is I'm just looking forward to where we're going. We've got a sex dungeon. We've got some things happening that I couldn't even believe was going to be on television.
I know. So, I mean, we've been hearing rumors about this Cynthia's bachelorette party where things go down, literally.
People were in outfits that made me blush.
Yeah. And we heard sex sounds. Like that's
what I was like, we haven't heard that. Correct me if I'm wrong, everyone.
No, I don't
As you corrected me quite mightily when I said that my friend had a theory that Bronwyn was having her kids to stay sober. Everyone's like, she said that on that show. I'm like, you know what I wanted to say?
We don't know. We're not watching.
I'm glad that the teacher has become the student. Wonderful. Or the student has become the teacher. Wonderful.
Unclear.
Like, we're going to fuck up. But thank you
all the
for
time.
your painstaking corrections. It's going to happen. And it really made me laugh in the future where you just hear in the testimonials, Portia go, keep your mask and your wigs on tight. And then she yells, I will quarantine a bitch.
I love her so much.
And that outfit, the sequin.
I mean, the Atlanta women come to play.
I know.
Gorgeous. Gorgeous. Breasts were out. Candy's breast looking sumptuous.
I did miss Nene. I felt we are missing one more energy. I do.
Look, we've been without her before. We'll see how
we're going to get a new gal.
Yes, we are. I'm excited about her.
Me too. So,
and we'll have Tanya back, who I learned to love at the end of the season.
I did too. Her Canadian energy sprinkled about in the sex dungeon. Just the way you want her. Okay, well, we've got a lot. Things are looking up. Dallas is starting on January 5th as Potomac is closing. Like, we have a lot happening.
Mm-hmm.
I want to recommend that show. Did you see the end of Murder on Middle Beach on HBO?
I did. Yes, I did.
You know I've been in communication with Madison.
I know you're not afraid to reach out. The way that people are not afraid to reach out to you.
I had to, Danielle. I was so moved by the end of it and the way he handled it. And I wrote him and I just said, he has managed to make what is a true crime investigation about the murder of his mom also a love letter to his mother. And I thought to balance that artistically, I've never seen anything like it.
It was heartbreaking and beautiful.
And he wrote me back, unlike, others in the past who have not
kind of him
responded. No, he's lovely. It's a great, great documentary. All right,
guys,
Danielle.
This is the end of our show, but we will see you next week. Hopefully at our holiday extravaganza.
December 17th. Get your tickets at onlocationlive.com/bitchsesh. And we got to say, Danielle, we've gotten flooded with boots on the ground.
Oh, we've gotten some boots, guys.
Juicy.
Some like boots.
Dark.
We've gotten some great boots, which I can't wait to contact some people. But if you have more, please send them because we're still receiving them, if you will.
And we'll bring you right on. And again, you don't have to substantiate shit.
No. And also, if you can't watch the show live, you still have 48 hours to watch it afterwards. But you just have to buy the tickets beforehand. You can't buy the tickets after the showing. So you have to get the tickets beforehand.
God bless you all. We really are trying to entertain and have some fun in this dark time. And we hope you'll join us. And then if not, we will see you after the holiday.
Yes, we will.
Hope everyone stays safe and healthy and is responsible in terms of how they spend their holiday. And send us gifts.
Yeah. Gifts or gifts?
Both. Both.
Love you guys. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Thank you, Earwolf. Thank you, Caitlin. Thank you, Renee. And thank you, Danielle.
Happy holiday and happy Hanukkah to me.
Okay.